Hello everyone, so let's get started with today's videos on the events around Kursk. Not as much to discuss here, it was a bit of a quieter day compared to some days, but there are a few interesting bits to look at. So, Ukraine firstly has released more videos from Kursk, most of them from the opening days of the Kursk incursion. The most interesting to me is this short clip here, showing the wreckage of a Ka-52 helicopter. This was reported on the 10th or 11th, but we didn't get confirmation until now. This is the second Ka-52 confirmed destroyed in Kursk. We saw one downed with its tail rotor on fire on day one of the incursion. This was reportedly hit by a manpad at point blank range. The crash site was geolocated by Mock Lassen on Twitter to be this field here. Zoomed out, you can see that this is close to the border, so the crash site is in Ukrainian hands. I expect this Ka-52 is being turned into keychains as we speak. This is up on Oryx as the 61st Ka-52 so far. Quite embarrassing, considering it's Russia's most modern and best attack helicopter. They had 133 airframes in service at the start, so a big chunk of the fleet is now gone. During the early days of the incursion, Russia didn't seem to realise how far Ukraine had advanced and how quickly. So, we saw a number of helicopters operating much closer to the front than in the past. Two Ka-52s downed, a Mi-8 and a Mi-28, hit by drones on the tail rotor. I expect this one, the pilot had no idea that the Ukrainians were so far in Kursk. Usually, we see these operating around 10 to 15 kilometres from the front lines, out of range of manpads, using their Elmur missiles. Our next video is this one, a compilation of FPV drone strikes released by Ukraine targeting Russian vehicles and logistics. We can see a good mixture of vehicles hit here, ranging from trucks, SUVs, pickups, and our old friend, the Scooby-Doo van. Now, not all of these are confirmed hits. In a few of them, the footage does cut out a fair bit before the vehicle, so the drone may have missed, but certainly on most of them, the footage only cuts out as the drone is about to impact the vehicle itself. And in some cases, we do see an FPV drone carrying out a follow-up strike flying over one of the destroyed trucks. Some of the vehicles are hit multiple times. A shot to disable it, the others to finish it off and ensure Russia can't recover it. Now, while supplying utility vehicles like this may not be as flashy as a tank or an MLRS, they are very important. If the frontline troops can't get supplies, then they can't fight. Ukraine drove Russia away from Kyiv in the early stages of the war by absolutely smashing the supply convoys, and so ground Russia's offensive there to a halt. So these are certainly key targets. There are a number of geolocations to check here, all done by a Twitter account called Andy Novi. I'll pop them all onto one map. Scooby-Doo vans in blue, SUVs and pickups in red, big Ural trucks are shown in black. You can see here that these drones are hitting the main road leading from Suja. There are 7 markers here, some of them in pretty much the same place and so grouped together and a bit hard to see. One of them, shown here, was attending to the scene of a truck that had already been hit by a drone and got hit itself. So, great work by Ukraine here. Now that Ukraine is releasing videos, I expect we'll see much more like this released in the coming days. The last video from the Ukrainian side here, an update on last night's video which I did on the Glushkovo Bridge. You can see here that it wasn't HIMARS as originally reported, but an air-launched bomb, either JDAM or the Hammer most likely. However, just before the impact, you can see HIMARS holes in the bridge, so HIMARS was used originally, but didn't work. I covered this yesterday in more detail, but very briefly, this bridge is important because it leaves just 3 bridges left for Russia over the Seym River, one of which, the furthest west, very close to Ukraine, so won't be used because vehicles crossing it will be easy pickings. The other ones with very low capacity and not really suitable for big convoys. Well, imagine if Ukraine could get a JDAM or Hammer in range of the Kursk bridge, it would certainly do the job. Now, a side note, in yesterday's video, I was a bit of an idiot. I highlighted 2 bridges in Zvanno. There's actually only one. The topmost one is actually just a weird line on the map. In my defence, it does look like a bridge connecting to the road, and even looks like a bridge on the satellite imagery of Google Maps. So, sorry about that little mix-up here. Russia has quickly deployed a pontoon bridge according to research from both Vitaly and Mock Lassen on Twitter. It's near the now destroyed Glushkovo Bridge shown here, near an established dirt road which avoids ponds and streams and is at a narrow point of a river at 50 metres. It definitely won't be as good as a bridge, smaller and along a very winding route. This is nearly 12 kilometres to the border with Ukraine, so it is well within range of artillery and drones, so I can't see this going well. I wonder if we may see another Seversky Donetsk river crossing incident if Russia decides to move vehicles over in bulk. But realistically, I think this will be used for resupply with trucks and lighter vehicles rather than trying to move heavy vehicles over in bulk. I think Russia would surely realise they'd be sitting ducks. And here, Ukraine has captured another tank, this time a T-72. Now, this isn't just any old T-72, it's a rare T-72BA. So between 1998 and 2005, Russia upgraded a bunch of old T-72Bs. They were initially offered as an alternative to the T-90 project. Around 700 T-72Bs were upgraded to BA standard, but mostly kept in storage, I guess because they're not very good. The main modifications were ERA added to the front of the turret and front of the hull, the front floor plate reinforced against mines, a new steering system, and night sights. Tanks upgraded after the year 2000 also got a new fire control system. Only 30 of the BA variants are up on Oryx, not including this one. So, it is another tank added to Ukraine's tally. 2 T-80s, a T-72B3, a T-90, and now a T-72BA. Here's a very interesting video from the Russian side. An armoured vehicle of Ukraine's with a tree line getting hit by a Lancer. This, of itself, isn't of particular interest, but the location is. This is here, south of Dmitriukov and east of Makhnovka. Here's a very interesting video from the Russian side. An armoured vehicle hidden in a tree line getting hit by a Lancer. The incident itself isn't of particular interest, but the location is. This is here, south of Dmitriukov and east of Makhnovka, not far from Suja. The Ukrainian vehicle was parked up, not abandoned, which suggests a Ukrainian control of the region. And this is next to this fairly large network, which is an underground bunker system. So it seems very likely that this outpost here is in Ukrainian hands. This could even be the bunker from one of the videos which was released yesterday. I don't think the vehicle would just be randomly parked up like this if the bunker was still occupied by Russia. So I think Ukraine has gained control over it. On Svoboda's map, Makhnovka is Ukrainian controlled, but Dmitriukov isn't. I think we can pretty much say that this is Ukrainian controlled settlement as well. Now before I finish, some satellite imagery. These were shared by Sam Dowak on Twitter and show that Russia is using Kursk airport support operations in Kursk. The image from July shows a very minimal military presence here, just a handful of helicopters and a handful of fighters. The helicopters look to be either Mi-24s or Mi-8s. I can't tell for certain. Now, after Ukraine crossed into Kursk, images from the 15th show Russia has deployed a number of helicopters to the airport. 14 helicopters are there now, including 3 possible Ka-52s. The number of fighter jets remains the same. Now, check out how closely these helicopters are grouped together. If the US lifted its restrictions on the use of ATACMS, Ukraine could wipe out this entire grouping in one fell swoop, much like they did when ATACMS was used against Berdyansk and Luhansk airfield, and got around 15 plus helicopters at both. Kursk airfield is here, 107 kilometers from the border, well within range of ATACMS. But because of restrictions, if Ukraine hits this, I guess it would have to be done with drones, which are much less effective. I haven't seen Tochka-U used for a while, so I think Ukraine has run out. Neptune, used in the ground role, would also be an option here, but it just shows why the US needs to lift its restrictions if it wants Ukraine to win. Hit these helicopters, not only will you be removing over a dozen helicopters from a conflict, but as we've seen in the past, Russia will then stop using this base and start having to deploy its helicopters further afield, increasing flight time to get to the area. Finally, I have been using Svoboda's map because of how interactive it is, but that map seems to really delay territorial control updates or not do them until certain criteria are met. But live UA, I think, is much more accurate, considering geolocated footage we've seen, such as the photo we saw I think yesterday of Ukrainians in Borky. So for territorial control, it's more accurate, so I'm using that one here. No territorial changes here, well that may change soon. Since the Glushkovo Bridge was down, Russia has reported Ukraine moving west from Snagost, which is Ukrainian controlled, towards Kamarovka, shown here. You can see this is south of the river and so becoming isolated and cut off from reinforcements. I expect the goal from Ukraine now is to focus the advance east along this now isolated region and gain control of the territory here since Russia can no longer resupply it. So that's it for this video. Hope you found it interesting. Now before I finish, here's a photo of my rabbit Muffin, the channel mascot who hasn't appeared for a while. You can see she's having a nice day sleeping next to a water bottle. So thanks so much for watching and take care everybody.